Aloha mai kakou. Aloha mai kakou. Is everybody able to hear us fine? Thumbs up if can. If no can, just add into the group chat. We can hear you good. Mahalo nui. Amazing.
Hello.
Okay. Can. Okay. Mahalo. Mahalo. Okay, you ready? Okay. If everybody is prepared, to get this show on the road, if you can, as we open up with all of our experiences and conversations, we always open up with a prayer, with Oli, and with an exchange of our ha, our breath, to connect to one another, to ground, and to prepare our mana for all of the beautiful, beautiful stories that are going to be shared in this time, and this vision. So, if you're able to, please sit up. And when you hear the word Hanu, please take a deep breath. We always exchange 3 of our breaths with everybody that we're with for representation of Aloha Aina, Aloha Akua, Aloha Kanaka. And as we can all breathe as one, let's do this. Hanu. 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 E ho mai kai ke mai luna mai e o na mea o na no e o na me e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai kai ke mai luna mai e o na mea o na no e o na mele e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai kai ke mai luna mai e o na mea o na no e o na mele e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai Aloha akua, aloha na akua, na auma akua, na kupuna. Aloha to Great Spirit, to the source, to our ancestors above and beyond, to our protectors and our guardians, to all of the life that is on this planet. We acknowledge, we honor, and we thank you for the common existence that we all have in this plane, in this realm, in this time on this planet. And we just mahalo you for all of the people that are present here today, and for the vision of Hawaii Coralition and Global Coralition to come together to heal our reef systems, to make a difference in our community, and to bring forth life, light, and ia within Hawaii, through culture, through arts, and through the collective unity, to heal our planet together. We mahalo you for this time. May all the iki and all the mana that is needed present itself today in Aloha. We pray all of this in the beautiful name of Hawaii, our Aina. Yo, amen. Aloha mai kakou, o Elijah Kala McShane, ko uinoa.
Jasmine Diaz.
Aloha. We are with Awaken Aloha Healing Arts, and with Hawaii Coalition, or Global Coalition here with Kyle, with Angeline and Karim. And I appreciate all of you guys for being able to come, to share, to sit, and to hear the vision and how we can collaborate, and make the world a better place, heal our ocean systems, and do what we gotta do. And so with that, with us being able to share that, we would like to pass it on to Angeline, who is a co-founder and a founding member of Global Coalition, doing amazing work right now in the Dominican Republic. And it's just an honor to be able to be in partnership with these two amazing individuals, as well as Karim, to do this work to help our people and to heal Kalaloa together. So we'll pass it on to Angeline, and I will make you the host. Okay. Wait, do you want to? Yes. No, but she had two accounts. What? To put the one that you're on right now, Angeline, into host. You want me to do that? Okay. And take it over.
Aloha, everyone, and mahalo. Thank you, Elijah and Jasmine, Corinne, and my partner Kyle, co-founder of our organization, who's here too. And thank you for everyone who's come to join in this conversation. We're so grateful and excited to meet all of you. And today, just wanted to, it's a special day. It's World Reef Awareness Day, and just wanted to share a little bit of our story and how we came to become in love with the coral reef ecosystems and the ocean, and dedicate our life journey on this earth to exploring how we can rehabilitate our marine ecosystems. And Kyle and I are both artists, and I know Elijah and Jasmine and Corinne, and I'm sure all of you are all artists in your own unique way. And we really believe that there's an immense power in art and culture and connection and community to come together and bridge with the scientific advancements and all of the amazing techniques and methods we have to bring life back to our oceans. So thank you, mahalo for giving me the space to share and speak. Thank you. And yeah, I would just love to take one deep breath together too, because half of the oxygen we breathe comes from our oceans. So if we can just take one breath together and give thanks to our oceans. Thank you. And I'm sure you'll all keep breathing too throughout this. So I'll just share my screen here. Let's see. Okay. So we are Global Coralition. We're a nonprofit, and our model is exploring how art, science, and community can come together for marine ecosystem regeneration. And Kyle and I, we fell in love with the reefs in Thailand. It was about 5 or so years ago. We were swimming in this beautiful bay here every day in Koh Tao, Thailand. If any of you have been there, it's stunning. And I see excited people. And it was just such a mind-blowing experience. We spent every day in this bay, blown away by the coral reef ecosystems, just how diverse and colorful and how much life is down there in the ocean. And for us, we didn't have that much background in marine science and didn't know too much about reefs, but after about 3 years of coming back to the same bay, we began noticing how the reef ecosystem was changing and how there were less fish and how the colors were changing. There was becoming more brown and we couldn't understand what was happening, and we began learning as much as we could. And this was kind of a shocking experience for us to dive on our first reef that was, quite degraded and had lost a lot of its color. And, it began to inspire us to learn as much as we could about coral reefs and what importance they are in the total ecosystem, and learning how they support 25% of all marine life. They absorb 97% of the wave and storm impacts, so that protects our coastlines. They support 1 billion people worldwide for food and livelihood. And they're actually a valuable source of medicine. There's been discoveries of medicine for cancer, arthritis, viruses that are found in our coral reef ecosystems. And people actually say we're 300 to 400 times more likely to discover new treatments in the ocean than we are on land. And that would also improve the quality of our treatments. And so they're an extremely important ecosystem, and globally, we learned that we've lost half of our reefs in the last 30 years, mainly due to climate change, pollution, overfishing. So we decided to build our first sculpture in Thailand as an exploration of, you know, how art could contribute to the rebuilding of coral reefs. And because corals need a substrate, they need a rock to attach onto. If we build structures and we put them in the ocean, corals actually will naturally grow, organisms will naturally grow on them. And if we're intentionally planting on them, we can also accelerate that process. There's a lot of different ways we can build structures, and for us, it's really exciting to create something artistic and inspiring and something that will attract people to the area, to connect people to their local area, and hopefully be something that can bring humans back to the nature and reconnect with the oceans. So this was our first sculpture we built with our friend Thaddeus, Kyle, and I, and you know, it was inspired by this woman who we named Mazu, who is an East Asian protector of the sea. She was a really skilled swimmer, and fishermen would pray to her when they were going out to sea. And you know, we actually had named her after building our sculpture, and we were learning so much from this process about how meaningful it was if we could really connect with the local culture where we were and really draw from the inspiration and the imagery and work closely with local partners to create something that would be really culturally significant and meaningful. This sculpture we gifted to a dive school in Koh Tao, and they were amazing. They have been doing restoration there for many years, and they built 36 pyramids all around our sculpture, and we're transplanting corals around them. It's part of a square kilometer artificial reef site that they still continue to use and take people down to and train, and have turned into a thriving coral reef ecosystem. So we're really grateful for their partnership, and it allowed us to leave Thailand and continue exploring our project in other places. And we actually spent the next year basically studying the scientific side of the project and what methods are being used in restoration, what have other projects been doing, and what are some of the best methods out there. And we ended up discovering a lot of the science behind land-based coral farming and how you can actually bring slow-growing corals onto land, cut them into tiny pieces called a process called microfragmentation, and they discovered they were growing 50 times faster. And being able to cultivate them in tanks, feeding them with bioaccelerators, and outplanting them back into the reef. So that's one technique that we really advocate. And the other technique is called larval propagation, where you can collect the eggs and sperm of corals, bring them into a lab, and support them to fertilize, which usually in nature only 1 in a million will fertilize and survive. And in the lab, they're finding over 90% success rate in survival. And in Hawaii, it's really exciting. There's a lot of groups. I mean, you guys are kind of at the forefront of scientific research over there in terms of coral science. You guys have the Department of Aquatic Resources, which is an amazing land-based coral farm practicing microfragmentation. And they've grown 1 square meter of coral in 1 year, which normally would take maybe 100 years. And then you guys have the Ruth Gates Lab, which has been doing amazing work in assisted evolution. So it's a really exciting place to be. So we ended up moving here to the Dominican Republic, where we are now, and the reefs here have declined to less than 10% coral coverage. And there's a lot of pressures here, and the state of the reefs are quite severe. And so we are here launching projects. And our first project is in Sosua, where these photos were taken. And we built our first sculpture, and her name is Atabe, and she is inspired from the Arawak Taino indigenous culture of the Caribbean. And you know, they have an incredible story that we've been learning about since we got here. They had migrated from Venezuela. They're a beautifully rich indigenous culture with a lot of artifacts and relics that have been left for us to discover and continue to learn about their culture. But they had actually been living here for the last 4,500 years, and a lot of their population was wiped out about 500 years ago when the Spanish arrived on the island. And people in the last 30 years have been rediscovering their connection and through DNA tests their lineage actually being Arawakan Taino. And so there's been a beautiful movement to reclaim and rediscover this culture. And so we've been really honored and excited to be a part of that movement through the artistic design of the reefs. And so Atabe, we had an amazing team here with us supporting to build this sculpture from the petroglyph into the skeleton structure that you see on the right, and then sculpted with concrete around the steel. And it's built in a way that it will last in the ocean for hopefully hundreds of thousands of years. And we would be practicing a method of microfragmentation to grow the corals in tanks and be transplanting them on the surface area of the sculpture. So we can cultivate the corals in about 6 months. They would cover their ceramic substrate, and then as they get attached to the sculpture, within 2 to 5 years, they'll fuse together. And so this sculpture is launching a restoration project here in Sosua, and our next goal out here is to develop the first land-based coral farm and be able to work closely with the community here. And for us, we love starting each project with a sculpture because it's really an amazing way to engage the community and get people involved. And we love visiting all the schools and sharing about coral reefs and the projects. And we build in a public place so that people can come and engage and volunteer. And we seek out local artists that we can collaborate with, and even like local engineers that help us with the deployment process. It really becomes such a community project because it's only possible through the ways that everyone shows up to support it. So that I think for us it's the most powerful way to start a project in any area, and bring people together. And it's amazing how everyone has something to contribute to this process. So, and a huge part of our intention and project has also been the reconnection to our Indigenous heritage and culture, and being able to support new forms of appreciation and tourism in regions where it can be around celebrating the culture and the people where you come to visit, and making sure that you are giving back to the environment. And so it's been a really beautiful process here in the Dominican Republic. We've been learning so much. And we also really actively try to build partnerships on the scientific side, working with dive schools, working with other coral restoration teams, and teaching the youth the methods of microfragmentation, and getting support from the government as well. We aim to make all of our regions active marine protected areas. Sorry, my computer's just going out of battery. So. See. And now we're actually in another part of the island where we are launching our second sculpture, and it's inspired by Ana Kaona, who was a historical figure here, a Taino chief and poet, cultural leader, and her kingdom was had a huge massacre actually, and it was they call it the beginning of the end of the Taino people here. So she's a very significant figure in their story. So we are about to build our second sculpture, which we're just starting the process of now. So this is Anacaona, and our process kind of changes in each location. We often come to meet with local teachers, people, cultural leaders, the youth, and we explore what is a symbol that is meaningful. And for this process, we pulled inspiration from a Taino artist as our inspiration, and have been working with even a real model who identifies as Taino and is on her own journey of reclaiming and connecting with the spirit of Anacaona. And we're being guided by some of the elders here to go to the kingdom where she lived and meet with the grandmas and meet with the people who are the keepers of her spirit to really bring that energy into the project. And we have amazing 3D modelers and builders that support us to design the sculptures. And it's definitely a combination of the aesthetic form and the ecological form that we try to keep in mind. So we're super excited and hopeful that we can come to Oahu and co-create a sculpture with your community. Elijah, Jasmine, and Corinne have been the most beautiful partners we could have found to work with, and we're just exploring different ideas together. And this is an idea that came through Elijah in one of our conversations. So we're exploring this concept and hopeful that this idea will continue to evolve together. And yeah, also just open to exploring other ideas that come and how we can bring this sculpture to life together. This is just a page on some of the benefits of building underwater sculptures and how once the sculpture is built, we can really work as a community to create as many benefits for both the population and the ecology in the region together. So we've found that the sculptures raise a lot of awareness around local culture and ecology just as a sculptural piece. There's a lot of media and news that we can create that can really help expand the message. We can create a lot of ways that there can be sustainable revenue that comes through the sculpture and the tourism of it that directly benefit either the local populations or the reef restoration efforts. We definitely aim to partner with our scientific partners so that the sculpture and that site becomes an active restoration location. And in some areas, at least in the DR, we've been actively working with fishermen because we've been finding that their livelihood has been directly impacted by the reef. So being able to train fishermen to come and become active conservation members has been a really beautiful method. And yeah, just being able to raise up the Hawaii kind of cultural pride and being able to just express that together and celebrate that together. Yeah. And again, like the scientific side is so important to us. So being able to partner with the different scientific members in the community, and I think exploring how more people can be engaged in the scientific process as well. Just as an example, I know the Department of Aquatic Resources really has an amazing methodology and facility, and they only have about 10 people working there. So I'm hopeful that if they're able to be a great partner, it would be amazing to create more opportunities for the knowledge of these methods to be transferred to the community at large, and people who are interested to learn these techniques. And you know, I think the more hands we have, the better armed we will be. So I'm hopeful for that. And I just really love this quote that meeting the challenge of substantially rebuilding marine life would be a historic milestone in humanity's quest to achieve a globally sustainable future. And yeah, I think the oceans, you know, especially living on an island, the oceans are so important to the long-term livelihood of of the people. So that's all for today. Thank you so much. And thank you. Let me see how to come back to. Let's see. I have no idea how to stop screen sharing. Oh, here we go. I think I got it. Perfect. Thank you. And Kyle, I don't know if you have any words you'd like to share, and we would love to open up for questions. Elijah, Jasmine, Corinne, you guys are welcome to share anything as well.
I just want to say that was a beautiful explanation of everything, Ange, and it's really lovely to meet all of you. We really look forward to coming out there and hopefully collaborating in any and which way. And yeah, just, you know, thanks, Elijah, for your beautiful inspiration of that vision for the boat. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to work too much on the design that we were talking about yet. We've been busy preparing everything here for the sculpture build, but I really look forward to any ideas that any of you come up with. And, you know, maybe we continue to expand on that and also come up with others. So let's just keep on dreaming and visualizing anything and any ways to apply these methods. If you have any insights, that would be like really good for the specific regions that we'd be working in. We're really open to just anything that you might have, as you know, with local knowledge and you know, insight too. So it's a pleasure. Thank you guys for being here with us. Yeah, if any of you guys have any questions, I guess, regarding the process or experience, or have any ideas that you want to share, please, you're welcome to share or ask anything you want.
Hey, sorry, I got hit by a surfboard recently. I work for coral gardeners in Marasa in French Polynesia. Yeah, I hadn't understood that you guys were working in Hawaii. This is a region where we have a lot of friends from the Save the Reef movement in particular, and yeah, others. So, but it kind of looked like it was very complicated to have like reef restoration programs there. So, yeah, if you had more insight on that, that would be interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, I can speak on that. It is very, I mean, we love your work, by the way. It's awesome. We're big fans. And yeah, it is definitely challenging to work in Hawaii because there are a lot of strict regulations on doing anything regarding corals, even touching them. And owning any Hawaiian corals is actually illegal because they're so protected. I believe it's 25% of coral species in Hawaii are specific to Hawaii and do not exist anywhere else in the world. So it's a very, very highly protected region. And the Department of Aquatic Resources is the group that is kind of, you know, in charge of giving permissions to working with the corals there. And the reason that my understanding is that the reason that they are so protective is because they don't want any possibilities of things being done incorrectly or short-sightedly. And that's pretty much it. Like, they're just very protective, and rightfully so, because that's why it's so beautiful there. But David Golko, who is the head of the Department of Aquatic Resources, is a really amazing and communicative person, and I would highly suggest getting in touch with him and seeing if there's any room for collaborations there. He reached out to us this past year after we had met with him 2 years ago, and he said that he thinks that it's a great opportunity to come out there and start working together to create this artificial reef restoration program in collaboration with the DAR, because they are the ones that are allowed to work in the ocean. The only other people who have licenses to work in the ocean are the universities, like the Ruth Gates Institute, and I think a couple of other institutes have special permitting to work in there, but it's not just like open to whoever wants to hop in the water. You know, here in the Dominican Republic, it's much more open. If you want to do something in coral restoration, the Ministry of Environment is very happy to, you know, work with you and give you permits and whatnot. Yeah, it is a challenge in Hawaii. And so getting in touch with David Golko, I think, would be probably the best first step there.
Clara, we would also love to collaborate and connect you to David, if that's helpful. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. I'll get your email addresses afterwards. Thanks.
Awesome. We do love coral gardeners too. You guys are wonderful.
Sorry,
Hope to see you in Hawaii.
Yeah. I hope to get there one day.
Hi guys. I'm here. I'm a kumu at Hello Kumana. I'm representing my kula, my school. And I work in the project-based setting of Kokulakai, which is the school of the ocean. We work with Paipai'oheia. And I know you briefly mentioned partnerships with schools, but it sounded like there was going to be an emphasis on the tourist industry. And I was wondering how you were planning to connect with the schools, and also if, how was it about Waikiki? It sounds like there's some kind of an investment from the state with this project. So I was wondering, does the state have an investment? Is there money going to state funders? Because you did mention something about tourism. And what Native Hawaiian schools are you partnering with, and how are you planning to do that? And what Native Hawaiian organizations are involved in your project? It sounds like you're focusing strictly on scientific-based operations, which is really, I mean, that's great for kids. But I'm also thinking about the cultural aspect. And the other thing that I was curious about was how are you going about choosing? I know Elijah, I know you brought you dance with Tahiti Mana, so I know you, but I respect you as well. I heard the Va'akualua thing. I really like it. Kalua, excuse me, Va'akalua. But there's a lot of mo'olelo about Waikiki, specific to Waikiki. So I was wondering how you were gonna be planning to, I'm asking you a ton of questions, how you're planning to include the Hawaiian community into the mo'olelo, because I noticed your emphasis is on goddess culture, but actually Waikiki is kind of well known for the kane. There's a lot of akua kane in Waikiki. So those are just some things I'm thinking about. Thank you.
Hey Tita, how are you? Oi, no. Okay, so to speak a little bit on that, answer some of the questions. Okay, so the ecotourism part of it is, the infrastructure is more so on the back end. The cultural approach is at the foundation of our whole plan and infrastructure building this. We have not started just yet to reach out to our schools because we are looking for collaboration with our kumu that are already in the schools, like Halau Kumana, and all of the different programs that help to ho'ola kalahui. And so we are in the process of being able to actually do that. But before we even got there, we wanted to make sure that our program, our approach, our art, our sculpture, and to include all of the kumus in the mo'olelo. I spoke to a handful of kumus already for some ike on the project. The reason why Akua had a couple concepts that came to mind, and as you said, of course, a lot of the mo'olelo that is involved in Waikiki. There's plenty mo'olelo, of course, as we know, as kaina o'ali'i, o'ahu. The aim of what came through for the Wa'akalua was due to the fact that, one, it brings us back to origins as Kanaka. It brings us back to origins. It opens up a space to already aid and to I kind of guess can integrate with the ho'ala that's already been happening with Hokulea and PVS, and all of the mo'olelo that is connected to PVS, Hokulea, Kamalama, Honua, and to bring that forth. And the aim was to have a va'a, to have one kupuna on it. And each of these kanaka that are going to be on the va'a is actually going to be specific kanaka that is connected to Waikiki, to Oahu, but is really integrated to our whole mo'olelo of Hawaii, especially if it's going to be in partnership with other organizations. If this cultural piece can actually help to feed the kind of whole space of bringing cultural awareness to tourism, yes, to our people, but to help to employ and deploy our kanaka, to have an approach to integrate ecotourism with what is kanaka. So to ho'o kanaka it in a way that everybody is in alignment, and all of the ones that are working to bring this to pass on the back end in terms of a space of ecotourism is pa'a and what is kanaka. Yeah, because we already know that the presence of tourism is plagued with commercialized culture of what is Hawaii. And so if we can create a space that is based on a rooted mo'olelo that is of Waikiki, that is of Oahu, but also connected to our origins, having the Wa'akalua, having a kupuna on board, having two makua, and having a keiki on board, I kauna, kawa kahiko, kawa mamua, and into present day. And so if we can have that connection through the mo'olelo with all of the people that are involved, that is going to be on the art piece, in the va'a, the integration of culture, having a protocol throughout the entire way that is based on ceremony, having our kumus that are on Oahu to be involved in the protocol and ceremony, in the completion of however the whole sculpture is going to look. We are putting it out there that the first vision that came to was of Wa'akalua, but we are open to being able to actually shift and switch if need be, if appropriate. Yeah, we just find that because our community has the clear pilina to Hokulea, and the world already has an awareness of what Hokulea is, and the mission to Malamo Honua, that it would be a great way to make that pa'a on the bottom of the ocean as a way to integrate past, present, and future now. And in the completion of the art sculpture, the aim was to have a protocol that was identical to the protocol of the pohaku of Kapai Mahu. And so in the mo'olelo of Kapai Mahu, to integrate all the mana of our kahuna into these pohaku, it had protocol and ceremony for an entire moon cycle. So an entire moon cycle from day to night. Had people in schools that had been coming up, had the people in the community, had kapaima who were putting all of their mana into the pohaku in that transfer. And once it got to Mahealani, they capped it and they made all that mana go into the pohaku, and then they left. And so the aim would be to have that protocol, to have that whole space of the whole moon cycle of Mahina, to have the schools, have the culture, everybody come together throughout the entire moon cycle to have ho'okupu to be brought in, to actually put in, yes, a time capsule, to put in things of our palapala, deeds and commitments of our people to our oceans, having this full kind of experience of protocol and ceremony. And once it closes out, it would be the kind of space and day where we deploy the art sculpture with all the va'a. We call all the kanu clubs, we call all of our schools, we have a full experience like how we did with Hokule'a's leaving and returning full experience, full educational time, and we deploy it. And in those times, we actually open up opportunities for what Kanaka would be interested in getting employed to ho'omau this in whatever way we plan to do it, having organizations and all that stuff involved. So if that answers a little bit, we could always go deeper, but yeah, I don't want to put too much takai into there right now, because that's a lot of information anyway. So, but if anybody would like to add to that, and Timako would like to add to that, whoever feels called to add some EK into that part.
Oh, you're
Unmute, Auntie.
Mahalo nui for your presentation, Angeline. Really appreciate that. And, you know, kind of bringing forth this concept, because as moving forward, we have to, you know, think about these things. A couple of things I want to say, and, you know, just, I absolutely agree with everything that Mele said. I absolutely agree. Where are the schools? Where are the culture? I mean, and I'm sure in time, everything will come into place if it is meant to be. However, Elijah, when you were like talking about the va'a, my na'au was just turning. I'm so sorry. There would be no va'a kaulua. There would be no va'a hale that would condone a va'a being under the sea. None. That is ho'ailona. Does not happen. So we have to think bigger than that. Okay. What is the water source? Let's go there. And then maybe we can talk. If it is Kane, find the water source on Kane. If it is Wahine, we find the water source on Wahine. We never put a va'a underwater, ever. So, you know, I love you, but you know how Kupunagun come through. So I just really think I know a lot of the players that would have to get involved and to even consider something like this. And I agree. You know, we need to stop dangling it as another tourist thing. The most isolated island in the world for a reason. Want to put something in there that might damage it. We don't know how it's gonna disintegrate yet. We don't know how. I want those answered. This is very, very, very special place. And like Clara said earlier, she was trying to get in here. Everybody wants to get in here. Everybody. Of course. I really am so grateful that the forward thinking though of this and what it's doing to reefs around the world, because I'm the ocean. That is where I live. That is where I'm from. That is my source. And so to have the protection around the world, because it's, you know, that's what it is. But when it does come to Hawaii, there is a reason why it's very, very protected. And, you know, unfortunately, what happens is when they first come up with the idea and how sacred and protected, and the reason why it is, over time, it gets watered down. And over time, people start to infiltrate, and things start to infiltrate where our babies will be the only witness to that because we opened it up. So location, clearing the partners, and definitely really doing the, you know how I feel, you know how they feel already about the va'a. So just, that's all I have to say. But thank you very much. I really appreciate what you're bringing forth. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful concept. I do. I think Hawaii is protected and on layers because the culture and the of all of that is still very, very alive. And the way things connect is still very alive. And so we have to be that much more conscious about it. So mahalo.
Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo. Yes, it's why I said that our first concept of the Va'akalua, a few other ones came to mind, in terms of He'e, a Paraua, had things that came to mind that have been in connection to more so Kanaloa and Namaka, as our akua of the Kaya Moana. And so there are a handful of concepts that have been in discussion. And yeah, we are just open to be able to have the open conversations with all of our people. I have been in the process of putting together a list of people that I plan to reach out to who are in HTA, but who are the kumu that are based in Waikiki, based in Manoa, and who have an oversight of all the mo'olelo of those regions. And so yeah, we're in those conversations, and this is why it's our first presentation. It's our first conversation to put that out right now, and this is why we're having it, to have our people that are in our lahui to add Ike into it, and to grow from it. So we aren't attached to anything. The thing that just came to mind is also because there are a lot of Kanaka who have been on the Va'a who have been lost at sea as well. And so to give honor to our kupuna in that way. But it's only all that is in alignment. And so we're trying to do our best to have clarity on the art sculpture and on the mo'olelo before we proceed into the next step. And this is why we are speaking with all of you guys. So mahalo.
And Maka, mahalo always for sharing, but also Melly, I appreciate, and Clara as well. I want to just kind of personally acknowledge the integrity of Global Coralition in terms of my resonance, not as a Kanaka Maoli, but as someone who is advocating and constantly trying to reciprocate and do my part in the restoration of Hawaii's sovereignty. So the resonance that I do want to speak to in terms of Angeline and Kyle and Karim's work is that they have no interest in moving forward unless the people are in passion and in alignment and feel excited about the creation of this. It's beautiful that we're having these conversations with such pertinent questions, because now we have key people to spearhead some of those answers with us, because I think it's a beautiful opportunity to actually be the example of creating not a tourism opportunity, but a way to actually give an offering and a ho'okupu to the land and to the ocean. And so please integrate and involve people that you believe should be involved, whether it is, dedicating time for pule on what comes through that you want to propose on the artistry of it. But I do just kind of want to put not ease, but just an awareness that there's no moving forward on anyone's ends, especially Angeline and Kyle's, who are advocates for making sure that everyone feels that this is a creative process from start to finish. And really, we were just integrated because we were the first people that they just reached out to. There was no key, you're the keepers of this. So just to kind of, this is our first bridge, and to extend that further is really the goal. So
no, absolutely. Hey guys, we appreciate all of the Ike, and it's why we're here is to call forth. We can I hear? Is to call forth all of the Ike from our lahui, and from all of our kumu, and to pinpoint where to actually make sure that the project, the concept is bulletproof. It's fully coupled. It's in the right intention of our akua, of our aina, of our people. And so, mahalo, mahalo, mahalo.
I don't know, Alice, do you have a question, yeah?
Hands they raised.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Aloha. My name is Bailey, and I just wanted to touch on something that Maka also brought up in regards to the safety of the reef. I spent all of 2019, I live on the island of Hawaii, working with various organizations, actually doing coral reef monitoring. So we have worked actually with Dave Golko, John Burns out of UH Hilo, and understanding that it is delicate and that the keepers of those permits take it very seriously. You know, and as we move forward in this project of looking at different key players who have been studying the species that are endemic to Hawaii and the rate at which they're dying, you know, and being able to understand that we do have some of the leading research in the world and being able to consciously bridge that in. It's really great and makes my heart feel happy to know that something like this is trying to come forward and all of these stakeholders are working together. And, you know, I can personally maybe provide some contacts after this to some of your key players of people that I've worked with in the past that I think would be great resources to take into account, Maka, what you were talking about of just making sure we're doing it right. You know, because everything can be great in theory, but it's the precision of our execution and how we take our time with this, that we have the ability to be a staple for what the world should be, because we are so remote and there is so much love and aloha here. And so it does sound great that you guys are working with Dave Golko, because I have worked with the team on our island, actually. There is a nonprofit that works out of OTEC that is actually doing microfragmentation, and they were able to get permits and are growing it in their labs. However, the hiccup is because we are so delicate, we're not able to put them back into the water. So I do understand how hard and thorough this process is, and I guess I just wanted to share this to really give you a peace of mind to know that the right people take it very seriously, and I have confidence that if this is something that they let happen, that it will be done right. So mahalo.
If there is anybody else who would like to share and add a little bit of ike into it, again, mahalo for all of the insight that everybody is giving. It's much appreciated. Mahalo.
I'd like to just answer a couple of the questions that were not addressed yet. So someone asked about funding, if this was coming from the state funding as a sponsorship program for tourism. And the answer is no. We have not received any funding from the state, nor of any promise of funding from the state. We are a nonprofit organization that raises funds through, well, we used to raise them through events, but also private donors and fundraisers. So, so far, our organization has been funded from all those sources that we've been able to generate. We are looking for more partnerships and more funding always to be able to continue our work, but so far, the state has said that they would allow us to come and partner with them and make sure that we do everything according to their strict regulations, as long as we provide the funding to do that. So at the moment, we do not have any promise of that. So just to address that, as well as the question about partnerships with schools, I think we've kind of touched on it. We're really actively looking and open to any partnerships. We don't have anything yet. This is still the beginning and just kind of the initial spark, but we are hoping to extend any kind of connections with any schools that you think would be a good connection. We'd like to incorporate programs where we can, work with kids or any ages to take them out into the ocean, take them snorkeling, teach them about corals and coral health and how to look out for things that are happening around them, as well as creating, maybe programs where we can teach people how to be building these artificial reefs or doing microfragmentation. These are all practices that are proven to be really beneficial to rehabilitating reef ecosystems. And then another question that was not addressed yet was about the materials being used and how would these materials disintegrate and dissolve over time and what would happen. And that's a really valid question. Really good thing to be thinking about, because as we do this work, it's really important for us to be always looking for the best advances in material science being used in coral restoration. So there are different perspectives in the scientific community on this. People that are doing really amazing work have different beliefs on this subject. So there is, depending on who you ask, you'll find many right answers, and it might be confusing. Ceramic and cement are kind of the standard materials that are being used all around, including Hawaii. David Golko's lab, which is definitely the most impressive lab that I've ever seen, doing really incredible work, is growing their corals on concrete. And what they do is they create concrete forms and they soak them in seawater for 30 days to become inert. After 30 days, the concrete material does not outgas anything. It doesn't let off any kind of toxic residue. It becomes inert. They're growing corals on these pieces of concrete, and they're completely covering them and fusing together, creating basically 1 by 1 meter coral pieces that are then being outplanted into the ocean. You can visit David Golko's lab in Oahu and see his work and see the materials that he's using. In different parts of the Dominican Republic here, they've been using things much more, to someone that seems crazy to be using that, but here people are just throwing cinder blocks in the ocean, growing corals on it. In Thailand, they literally have a reef, and this is not what we would want to do at all, but they have a reef where they're growing coral on things that have been thrown away, like old gym equipment and bicycles and a car and things like that. Corals will grow on anything. We obviously don't want to be putting junk in the water, so we want to be really the materials, we ensure that they're not out have any way down. So one of the things that really put it in perspective for me was concrete is made out of calcium carbonate, limestone, and ash. So when you crush down the limestone, you get that's ash, calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is also, so it is a perfect substrate for corals. You want to make sure that the coral has become inert. So work with David Golko's lab to, under all the strict regulations that are in place to protect the delicate ecosystem of Hawaii, to make sure that all the material this being from the coral would rest at the core of this rock. And if you've ever looked at a cross section of coral, you can see that it's in many layers. So the concrete would basically be at the core, and the corals would continue to build up around time. The concrete is not going to breathe. So I don't know if you guys could hear me, if I'm breaking up at all, but I just wanted to address this topic. I think that it's ongoing, and just continue exploring.
Hello?
I see rock carving. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely, thank you, Kyle. And sorry, our Dominican Republic internet is not super strong here, but thank you everyone for all of your input and inquiries, and I'm just grateful how deeply thoughtful everyone is in this process, because it is a really delicate situation, everything from the ecology to the cultural aspects. So we, like Jasmine mentioned, we're just here to share our visions and hopes and some of the projects we've been working on in the past, and just hoping to explore the best way to move forward with everyone here and our extended community, because there is an interest from the scientific side, and we would just love to see if this project can move forward and we can really build it together as a community, and ensure that all parts of the process are deeply considered and thought through. So thank you, and
I think
hopefully we would.
I think
Oh,
the
go ahead,
other
Jasmine.
member
Yeah, we have another caller who wants to
share.
add in and share. So please share, Hawaiian.
I saw this being recorded. Is this recording going to be made available that we could share with people that weren't able to make this meeting?
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, this is my name's Alika Garcia. I'm the executive director of we're a pretty new nonprofit here on Oahu, Kuleana Coral Restoration. So I came onto the call a little late. We're actually in the water diving, but I heard most of the call, and it's a pretty exciting project. So we're permitted, and it's absolutely true what you heard. It's a pain in the ass to get permits here in Hawaii, and for good reason. It's very hard. We're permitted to work primarily on the west side of Oahu, but we also work in collaboration with NOAA and the Ruth Gates Lab. So we're working on them with a project. In fact, this morning in Mauna Lua Bay. So there's a really good project. If you guys haven't seen it, maybe, so I'm on my phone right now on the road, but it's the scientific part. Our group is tasked, and our permit conditions are basically to find, like you guys were just discussing, materials, like what are the best materials and how they react over time. Concrete is, one of the standards, of course. And we're taking broken coral and preventing that from dying. So that might be a good way to kind of use, if you guys have a sculpture and you want to microfrag, that I'm pretty sure that would be a requirement, is use coral of opportunity, stuff that's already broken, replant that. And then you're preventing something from dying that has a high likelihood of death anyway. So that might be a good one to kind of look at for your microfragging process. But yeah, I mean, as far as the cultural side, we have a small component. We're still building it. Again, we're very new nonprofit. But most of our cultural focus right now is more on resource management and how it ties in with the ahupua'as and, like the water, the natural water flow, and how that affects whatever happens on land affects the reef. And we're trying to work with other nonprofits here, mostly on West Oahu, but again, also in Mauna Lua Bay, on kind of tying that together and completing that picture of, what happens once you leave the shoreline to the reef, which is where your guys' project will happen. So a lot to cover. Sorry, I came in late with my comments. I wasn't sure when to jump in, but yeah, reach out to us, Kuleana Coral Restoration. My email is alika@kuleanacoral.com. Again, I'm on my phone. I can't type in the message thingy, but feel free to reach out. Yeah, we did our permit a year and a half ago or 2 years, so it's kind of fresh. We can help where we can. Aloha.
Amazing stuff. And absolutely, the corals of opportunities are the only corals that we would be permitted to work with, and that we would, work with at all, because those are the ones that are already broken down and a high likelihood of dying. And there's plenty to where we wouldn't be off of the reef, and we would not even be permitted to. Yeah, everywhere that we work with microfragmentation, we are using corals of boats. There's tons of corals, just so yeah, absolutely.
Hey, mahalo nui kanaka alika, for the beautiful share. Yes, this is why we have these calls, so that we can bring everybody who is called to already be in the va'a, and they already stay in the va'a, to continue sailing to Hawaii. So mahalo nui for all the sharing, and for all the mana, and for all the manao, for Auntie Maka, for Meli, for Allison Bailey, for all of their good mana to share, and all the good work that everybody is doing here. Of course, and Karim, Of course, of course. Hey, mahalo to all of you guys for all being called and inspired to do this work alongside. We are all in this together, so I appreciate you guys. Mahalo nui. If anybody else has stuff to share, please feel free. Mahalo, you guys. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say mahalo to everyone for being here. And yeah, just to emphasize, this is exactly why we are here today. I thank all of you for all of your insight because, you know, we can't do it alone. And our greatest intentions are to involve everybody so that we can go about this the right way and in the most respectful way. And going forth from here, you know, we would like to continue this conversation and hold more of these calls. So I invite all of you guys to share this video. It's going to be recorded. I invite all of you to share it with anyone who you believe can be a great collaborator with this. And yeah, I think we'll be in touch for our next call. And if anyone else has anything else to say, I will open up the floor to you. But yeah, thank you so much. Mahalo.
Everyone in the chat box could put maybe like an email address or you know, their contact information, just so we can keep it for sending out the next link for our next call. Angeline, I don't know if there was any next steps or a definitive date you wanted to share, but
Yes, I would love, yeah, I think it'd be great to have another conversation soon. And I definitely would love, I hope that David Golka could join a next call in the future, at least with this sculpture. I think Kyle was mentioning about us doing microfragmentation, but this sculpture in particular would be taken care of by the DAR. And if there, you know, maybe there are ways that other coral restoration groups could be collaborating and building greater relationships and bonds, I think that would be really beautiful. I also just wanted to say thank you to Macau Kalani, and just thank you for being an elder here with us today and sharing your perspective. So yeah, I mean, from our end, you know, we are, yeah, I think just like hearing everyone's perspective and seeing how we can, you know, if this is something that the community is open to and interested in, then we can explore, you know, what the next steps are. We have received the initial blessings from the Department of Aquatic Resources to create the sculpture in terms of permitting and having the ecological side of it be intimately overseen and in collaboration with the lab, and how they would transplant corals on it, and the location and what type of corals they would work, and all of that side of it. And so for us, we're really exploring the cultural side and whether it's something the Hawaiian community is open to collaborating with us on, and if so, then yeah, I think exploring what that symbol can be and how we create it and who wants to be part of that process. And in terms of Kyle and I, we would just love to be in service of that and help, you know, help hopefully bring it to life together. So I think that's really where we're at right now. And yeah, we have a bunch of dogs here. We're out in the Dominican countryside right now. But yeah, I'm just grateful for all of you being here, and it would be great to hear from you guys if overall, if you think it's something we can move forward with, and if so, maybe there's a next call that we have with more people involved, and maybe our intention is around finding something that's culturally, you know, sound and resonates with everyone. Or maybe, yeah, we're very open to how this process evolves, and any insight you guys have as well is super welcomed.
Hey, mahalo nui, mahalo nui.
Yeah, no, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful conversation. And again, please invite everyone that you think and feel aligned to be a part of this conversation, which I believe everyone who is, especially Kanaka Maoli, should be involved. So I think we can close with.
Yeah, and you know, we ending at about 111. So we just closing them out at about 111. So you know, I think it's yes, a beautiful opportunity to close out in Pule. What we do ask of you guys is to integrate the conversation and is to Pule about it, you know, and to see what comes through. And if you want to put something into a Google Doc that comes through to you, ideas, key ideas, just adding our emails to be able to share, so that at our next conversation we have a great kind of place to start with, and just some key ideas that come through from everybody in the community. And as we actually get clear, this is a direct message. Kalamai, kalamai. But as we get clearer and clearer and clearer on the vision, on the mo'olelo, on who will be involved, we of course have a list of all of the community organizations and the schools, the Kulakaya Puni, the halaus that we actually plan to reach out to. And we also do need assistance. And so for anybody that is called to be able to share and to aid in that path of getting emails out, getting contacts out, we would love to extend a beautiful open space to collaborate with us to do this. Because as we all said, we all have individual things that we are all doing as well. Yet for the common vision, the common va'a, we would love to have kokua and kapoe in any way that is possible. But if this is the last words, good, everybody, last words, can we end in Pule? Okay. If you know Oli Mahalo, please join in. Mahalo akua. Anu. 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 Uholahia kamakaluhala, uaike anuhala, ukaia kahaluhala, pavehi maina iwa, mai kaho oku ia kahalava ila. Mahalo e na akua, mahalo e na tupuna la ea, mahalo me ke alohala, mahalo me ke alohala. Mahalo to our aina, mahalo to our people, mahalo to our cultures around the planet, mahalo to Akua, mahalo to the source for bringing us all together in truth, love, and unity. For a common vision to transform our oceans, transform the planet, and therefore transform humanity in all that we do. Continue to lead us in truth and in love, and in the most highest regard of aloha and humility and openness, to bring forth this project in a way that is pono for Lahui and for Hawaii altogether. Mahalo everybody for joining. Mahalo for love, for truth, for unity, for all of us, and to a beautiful future together. E ola. Amen. Hey, you guys have a beautiful, beautiful day. We love you. We care for you. We're here to support you. However we may be of assistance, please let us know. And we'll speak soon. Okay. Expect an email.
Aloha.